All right, the topic for today's class is actually today's date, which is the 24th of Kislev. And, we know Chanukah especially, which is the 20... Yeah, So Chanukah, we know it's the 25th of Kislev, but what's special about the 24th?
Oh, wait a minute, are we supposed to say Yalav Yavo at Mara?
Not tonight.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Not Yalvi Yalvi, Val Anisim. Val Anisim. We add a certain part in the davening for Chanukah. So, what's special about the 24th of Kislev, Chaf Dalet Kislev? So, this takes us back to the Navi Chagai. Chagai, I believe, was one of the last prophets. So today we'll do something about Chanukah because we're so close to Chanukah. So we're going to be discussing today's date, the 24th of Kislev.
21, right?
24.
Oh, 24, good.
Because usually we make a big deal about the 25th. That's the first night. But what's 24? So the Navi Chagai, he in his book, he mentions a nevuah, a prophecy that he had on the 24th of Kislev. So this is, I guess, one of the first mentions of this date in Jewish history. So read it in Hebrew and then in English. So it says, Be'esrim varba lachi, on the 24th day of the 9th month. So Kislev could be the 3rd month or the 9th month. It's the 9th from Nisan. B'shnas shtayim Dariavish, this is the 2nd year of the rule of King Darius. Hayadvar Hashem. Well, Purim, right? Chanukah and Purim. Hayadvar Hashem al Chagai Hanavi Lamer. So the word of Hashem was to Chagai the prophet saying, what was the nevuah? Kai Amar Hashem Tzvakos Sha'alna Esakayanim Torah Lamer.
Excuse me, why wouldn't you say the word Silva? Why did you put a kuf?
Some people say that's it's one of Hashem's names. It's so just like saying Hashem instead of saying Adai.
But did you say Ad Hashem or did I not?
I said Hashem. I said Kayamar Hashem.
Okay. I said Adam.
Okay. So basically speak to the Koyanim. what was going on in that period? So we're talking about the second Beis HaMikdash. And you have all these people that came up and they want to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash. And it says, Hein Yisa Ish Besar Kodesh Bechnaf Bigdai. Can a person carry the meat of Kodesh, holy meat, Bechnaf Bigdai, with a garment, V'naga Bekanfai El Halechem Vel Hanazid. If he will touch with the corner of his garment the bread and the nazid is a stew, Vel Hayayin, Vel Hashem, and the wine and oil, Vel Kol Machal Hayikdash will become holy. And Vayanu HaKoyanim V'yomru Loi, the priest said no. So this is talking about the laws of purity and impurity. If a Kohen touched something, if he touched something that was dead, it became impure, and then he touched meat of the Kodesh, of the meat of one of the sacrifices, then he'll make it impure. So then he continued, Vayomer Chagai, Im Tmei Nefesh, Im Yigat Tamei B'chol Nefesh B'chol Eile Hayitma. If someone that touched a Tmei Nefesh, someone who is impure, will he become... And if he touched one of these holy things, will it become impure? Vayanu HaKoyanim Vayomer Yitma. The priest said, yes, it will become Tamei. So, what happened on Chaf Dalet Kislev is that Navi Chagai is speaking to the Koyanim, is reminding them the laws of purity and impurity. Because I guess they're going to start a new Beis HaMikdash, so now he wants to prepare them, make sure the Koyanim know all the halachas. Now, the next pasuk continues, Simun al levavchem. Take to heart, take note, min hayom hazev hamayla, from this day and onwards, miyom esrim v'arba lachi, from the 24th day of the 9th month, l'min hayom asher yusad heichal Hashem, from the day that it was established, the heichal Hashem, the chamber of Hashem, simu levavchem, take note. So in English they translate it, take note from this day forward, from the 24th day of the 9th month, from the day when the foundation was laid for Hashem's temple. So Chaf Dalet Kislev is actually the day that they laid the foundation for the second Beis HaMikdash.
Wow.
So that's very significant.
Yeah, you said, right?
Yeah, Yusad Heichal Hashem. Today was the day that they laid the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hashem said another thing that they should take note, the last pasuk, Ha'ed Hazara b'Megura, Va'ad Hagefen, Va'te'ena, Va'harimain, Va'etz Hazayis, Lainasa. They translated in English, while the seed is still in the granary, and the vine, fig tree, pomegranate, and olive tree have not yet borne fruit. Looks like in Eretz Yisrael then, it was just the Jewish people were coming up to Eretz Yisrael, and things were not blessed, all these different fruits. But Hashem said, Min hayom hazeh avarech. From this day on, I will send blessings. So mark this date. Take note. Simu levavchem. Remember this date. This is the date that the foundation was laid for the Beis Hamikdash. And this is the date that Chagai was warning the Kohanim about the laws of purity and impurity. Now, why is Chanukah called Chanukah? What is the word? Chanukah Sabayis. Inauguration of the Beis Hamikdash. When was that? When was the inauguration of the Beis Hamikdash? So, usually we say that it was after the Greeks, they contaminated the Beis Hamikdash, and then the Hashmonaim came and took over. Second Beis Hamikdash, and then the Chanukah is when they rededicated it. Right. But some people say that it's actually referring to this, when they laid the foundation for the first Beis Hamikdash, for the second Beis Hamikdash, which was before the whole story of Chanukah. That's what we're celebrating. Only problem with that is that why did they only wait to celebrate that till the times of Chanukah if it happened so much before that? This, what we're talking about over here, is when they laid the foundation for the second Beis Hamikdash.
There's two possible months the ninth day could be, the ninth month could be. Very good. It's the ninth month after Tishrei. That makes it, but the seed wouldn't still be in the granary if it was ninth month after Tishrei. Because that would be like Tammuz or something.
Right, so that...
The seed would still be in the granary, so it's got to be, maybe that helps us understand the calendar. If the seed is still in the granary on the ninth month, then that means we're counting from Nisan, which makes Nisan the New Year.
Yeah.
So our whole question about Rosh Hashanah might be resolved by this statement.
By using this pasuk. Yeah, over here we see clearly we're starting the year from Nisan, because the ninth. This is a proof. It's a good point. So that's one thing that happened on the 24th of Kislev. Now, there's another famous remez, hint, in the word Chanukah, that if you split the word into two, it's Chanu Chafhei. They rested on the 25th. But what does that mean? That when did they win the war? On the 24th. So today is a special day. It's the day that we won the war. We rested on the next day, and that's when we celebrate. But when did we win the war? Was on the 24th. Now, who says this? One of the rabbis actually say it clearly, and this is the Meiri. The Meiri is one of the early commentaries on the Gemara, and he goes through the story and he tells us the specific dates. So this is on the bottom of the page. This miracle of Chanukah on the first page. The Greek kingdom made a lot of decrees on the Jewish people, levatal dasam v'nimusehem, to annul their religion and their traditions, u'mitzvaysehem, and their mitzvahs, v'latzur al ayreisehem, and to make siege on their cities. V'nichnasu lehechal, they entered the hechal, lepartzu by pratzes harbe, and they broke a lot of things, v'timu kol hashmanim, and they contaminated all the oils. Ush'ara tar shayusham, not just the oils, but everything else that was pure. Ad shegavra yad b'nei Chashmenaya kohanim, until the sons of Chashmenayim, the kohanim, came v'nitzchum, and they won over them. Umanu melech min kohanim, they appointed a king from the kohanim. Va'amda malchus li Yisrael ad zman ha'churban. The rule of the Chashmenayim was for a long time until the destruction. Now, what day was this? When did they succeed and won over the Greeks? Zahaya b'Kislev b'Chavdalid bay, was on the 24th of Kislev. So here we see clearly that this is the day of victory. V'nichnasu lehechal, they entered the hechal, v'leimatzu shemen tar, they could not find any pure oil. Ela pach echad shayamunach b'chaysame shel kohen gadol, only one cruse, one jug of oil that was sealed with a stamp of the kohen gadol. V'kiru shelei nagu bay. they were able to recognize that it was untouched. Okay, v'nachzer l'inyan hanes, v'shepachza l'hoybe l'hadlik l'layla achos, only had enough to light one night, v'idliku lel chafei, shehaya yom rishon l'nes. The night of the 25th, which is tomorrow night, is the first day that we celebrate Chanukah. He continues on the next page. Uleshana acheres Kivaum Yamim Tovim. The next year they established Chanukah as a Yom Tov. It's an interesting thing that it was only established the following year as a Yom Tov. Now, what is the Yom Tov of Chanukah? It's not that we were able to work on Chanukah. V'loy livtol malacha. It's not to stop people from doing work. That would be another sukkah, another 8 days. Ela li'aser behesped v'tainis. The Yom Tov, the holiday of Chanukah, is that you're not allowed to make an eulogy or fast. You're not allowed to fast during Chanukah because it's a Yom Tov. Ulahayda, and it's a time to thank Hashem b'tefillah in davening, v'ligmar es halal, and to complete the halal. We say the whole halal every day of Chanukah. Now he asks a question: what about Pesach? On Pesach, we don't complete the halal every single day of Pesach. So why Chanukah do we celebrate every day with a complete halal? Although on Pesach, when we left Egypt, we only say the full halal on the first day of Pesach. And we did not say to say the whole halal every day. So he says, Chanukah shiny. He answers this question. How is Chanukah different than Pesach? Shebakol yom v'yom hayanes misrabe u'mischadish. Every day the miracle was increased and renewed. Yoser. Oh, he asked right now. So he says, by Pesach they left Egypt. Okay, that's it. You left. After that, every day nothing happens. You're free. But by Chanukah, every night, the fact that the oil lasted for 8 days was a miracle because it was only enough for 1 day. Now the question is, what about the first night? So he says right here, V'layla harishayin shaloi hayasham nes hashemen. The first night there was no miracle of oil. This question is the famous question that has over 100 answers, or maybe 200, I don't know. Mevarchin, he says, Al ha'geula v'al ha'das metzias ha'pach. He says, we're thanking Hashem for the victory, for winning the war, and for finding the jug of oil. Not for but for the finding the jug. Ushar aleilos, the rest of the nights al nas Hashem, is for the miracle of the oil.
Miracles have to be big.
Yeah.
Look, a sealed jar. No, but there was also another thing that I read was that knowing that it would take 8 days to go up 4 days and back 4 days with oil, so that they split the.
That's one of the opinions.
Right.
One opinion is they filled it, and then
Right.
only an eighth of it burned,
Right.
which would be an obvious nace.
No, that's exactly.
The other ones that they put
right.
in only an eighth and it burned all night,
Mhm.
which is also an obvious nace. And I don't know what the other opinion is.
There's a lot of different opinions. So either way, what we see over here is that the Meiri says that the victory when they won the war was on Chaf Daled, was on the 24th. Now, like everything, there's two opinions. Let's see what the Rambam says. When did they win the war? The Rambam in Hilchos Megillah v'Chanukah says like this: Ukshegavri Yisrael aleveim ve'ibdum, when the Jewish people overpowered and won over the Greeks, b'chafei b'chodesh Kislev haya. He says it was on the 25th. So we have here a machlekes, we have here a dispute. When did we win the war? Was it the 24th or the 25th?
So why is he referring to Megillus Hanukkah when Megillus Hanukkah isn't part of the canon?
Oh, so it's Hilchos Megillah v'Chanukah. He puts the laws of Purim and Chanukah together because they're both they're from the Rabbanan.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not saying that we should read the Megillah of Chanukah, even though some people have a custom. There is a Megillah.
Oh wow!
There is, and I've read it, and it's very interesting. But the problem is that it's not a holy book; it's a history book, and so it was never accepted into the canon.
Right, but some people read it. So either way,
It's very interesting because it
Yeah.
ends with the Romans coming in.
Mhm.
And you can see the seeds of destruction being set at the end of the Megillah. Probably one of the reasons why it's so controversial.
Yeah, so the Rambam says that we won the war on the 25th. So we cannot say that they rested on the 25th. According to the Rambam, we won on the 25th. And he continued, the end of the story, they found only one jug. Okay. Now, another thing that the Rambam says interesting in Halacha Gimel is the rabbis instituted the Rambam says they should be days of simcha, days of happiness, v'halal, and praise to Hashem. The Meiri didn't mention about being happy, about simcha. He just says halal. We thank Hashem and we praise Hashem. So this is a big discussion on Chanukah. Is there a mitzvah, or should we increase in eating during Chanukah? You know, Purim, there's a mitzvah, we have a feast. Yeah. But during Chanukah, is there a mitzvah to have a meal or to have extra party and feast during Chanukah? Because if you look in the Gemara, it just says Lahaydei Salahalal. The holiday was instituted to thank Hashem and to praise. It doesn't say anything about eating.
Yeah, but didn't we establish that in Rosh Hashanah, in the Agada, that you have to eat and drink in order to be simchadik?
So how do you know that Chanukah you have to be b'simcha? In the Gemara, it doesn't say that it's a day of simcha. It says Lahaydei Salahalal, to thank and praise Hashem.
Okay.
The Rambam is interesting that he adds the word simcha v'halal. He says that it is a day of simcha, and the question is, kind of, first of all, where did he get it? Because the Gemara doesn't say lahaydei salahal. It only says to thank and praise.
Well, you could argue that you can't say halal on an empty stomach, so you have to at least not fast.
Well, let's say Rosh Hashanah, we don't say halal. That's true. I was thinking Yom Kippur, you don't either say halal. Yeah. But Rosh Chodesh, is also a discussion about a meal. I think it's better, but I don't know if it's a mitzvah. So if you look in the two notes over here, 1 and 2, they mention this. When we look at 1, it says, significantly, the wording of the Rambam appears to indicate that the victory of the Hashmonaim took place on the 25th of Kislev. Rabbeinu Nissim and other authorities explain that the victory took place on the 24th, and it was on the 25th that the Jews rested from the war and entered the sanctuary. Indeed, an allusion to this is found on the very name Chanukah, which is broken into two words, Chanu Chafei, that they rested on the 25th. So they point out this difference that the Rambam says that the victory was on the 25th. 2, an acknowledgement of Hashem's miracles in a material context and appreciation of the military victories. As the Rambam explains in Hilchos Purim, chapter 2, here we connect Chanukah and Purim again, happiness is associated with feasting. How do you be happy without eating? Huh? Yeah. In this context, the Yam Shel Shlomo and Bava Kama explains that according to the Rambam, in contrast to the ruling of the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch, the festive meals customarily served on Chanukah can be considered to be feasts associated with the mitzvah. So this is different than the Shulchan Aruch, but according to the Rambam, because he says that there is a point to be besimcha, to be happy, which is through eating, so it would be considered part of a mitzvah, eating on Chanukah. So when you have that extra donut, it's, according to the Rambam, you're doing the simcha.
But you have a neshama yasera to get rid of it for you. Hanukkah feasting stays with you all year.
You have the fast of Asar B'Tevis afterwards, a few days later, to go on a little diet maybe. So, to point out, we have two differences between the Rambam and the Meiri about Chanukah. First difference is, when did they win the war, 24th or 25th? And another difference is, what was the holiday established to do? Are we just thanking and praising Hashem? That was the Meiri. And the Rambam says to feast and to enjoy.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
Exchange gifts for 8 days too, you're supposed to.
The exchanging gift is not really part of the mitzvah of Chanukah.
Giving
That's
the children money is.
Chanukah gelt is a custom, but exchanging gifts is really for Purim, Shleach Manas. That's Chanukah doesn't mention about exchanging gifts. So, could we tie these two things together? What is the big deal if it was on the 24th or the 25th, and how it relates to Chanukah and the story of Chanukah, and how we celebrate Chanukah? So, if we think about it, we could look at it like this: that there's two main miracles of Chanukah. One miracle is the victory of the war, and the other miracle is the miracle of the oil, of the oil lasting. Now, what's the main miracle of Chanukah? Winning the war, or the oil lasting? The miracle of the oil. This is a big topic on Chanukah. What's the Chanukah? What's the main thing? So maybe we could say that it depends if it's on the 24th or the 25th. If they won on the 24th, so then what are we celebrating on Chanukah itself? The oil, because the winning the war happened the day before. If they won the war on the 25th itself, so then Chanukah is very much connected to winning the war because it's on the actual day that they won the war.
Winning a war, although the odds were extremely unlikely, is still a more natural event than one day's oil lasting 8 days. That's something that hadn't happened previously, and certainly we've won the occasional war previously.
Yeah, so that you could say that it's a bigger miracle, the oil lasting.
It's more obvious.
More
I
obvious.
wouldn't call it a bigger.
Or more unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, obviously, winning a war is a lot more than a one-day candle that burned for 8 days. I mean, obviously, it's as far as a physical, but from a spiritual point, this is the holy oil from the previous holy temple that is carrying over as the bridge to its replacing holy temple, so that the kedusha was continuous from one to the next.
So that's why it's very important to remember that, because we're talking about the holiness and the kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash. But the question is, what do we do for the victory of the war? How do we remember that? What do we do for that? We make a big
march around in day school pageants.
Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah. When you were Kadima, all the children would walk around with their flags and their fake armor, and they would sing the songs.
Okay, but in halacha, or in a mitzvah or custom, what do we do to commemorate winning the war? It's like that's a very big thing, it's not a small thing. So one way to look at it is this is the two things of Chanukah. Eating on Chanukah, that would be celebrating the war, because winning the war is a physical thing. The fact that you're alive, if they win the war, then chas v'shalom, then we're dead. So that's saving life, saving the physical body. Oil and light represents the spiritual victory of Chanukah. So there's two things over here. Winning the war is more the physical victory, and the light, the candles, represents the spiritual victory. And maybe this is the difference between the Rambam and the Meiri. The Meiri is saying, the war, that was today, 24th. That's before Chanukah. The 25th, what are we celebrating? We're celebrating mainly the oil. We're celebrating the spiritual part of it. So he's kind of separating between the two and saying that the main idea of Chanukah that we're focusing on is the spiritual part. And that's why he doesn't mention anything about eating and drinking, because he kind of says 24th is the victory of the war, and then the rest of Chanukah we're celebrating the oil.
I have a dispute with that.
Okay, one second, but let's just finish off the other side. The Rambam says we won the war on the 25th, so Chanukah is very much connected to the war, and we have to celebrate that. And how do we do that? We have to simcha, we have to eat, we have to drink, because of that part, winning the war, the physical part. Yes?
What was the war for?
You're saying the war was for the religion. You're saying even the war was also part of that.
Anybody's physical life, unless they wanted to preserve and protect the religion.
That's
So it's 100% a holy war. It's 100% a religious war.
so that's it is a religious war, but at the same
Fought
time,
physically. Or
What?
seemingly fought physically.
far physically,
Seemingly fought physically.
fought physically. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But when you're saying that, besides for the spiritual victory, also the fact that the Jewish people like won them physically and that they're alive and that they're safe. That's like the miracle of Purim, kind of. Miracle of Purim. Haman wants to
The
kill
huge difference is
the
that,
Jewish
in
people.
Purim, the bad guy wanted to eradicate the Jews bodily. The Hasmonean Greeks and their patrons, the Greeks, wanted to destroy the religion of Judaism. They had no problem with Jews. They had a problem with Judaism. They had no problem with Jews as people, kind of like Napoleon. They had no problem with the people. If they just behaved like good Greeks, there would have been no problem.
Mhm.
It's 100% about the Jewish faith.
We're lighting candles on the 26th.
25th.
Night of the
Today's the 24th.
Right. The night tomorrow night is
25th.
the night of the 25th.
Mhm.
Begins
Okay.
begins the 25th.
So,
But, right. But that's why we're talking about what happened today. So according to some opinions, today is when we won the war.
Today, as in starting tomorrow.
Yeah, is when we won the war. But I'm saying for sure it was a spiritual battle, but at the same time there's a physical aspect to
Physical
that.
battle over spiritual matters. Let's
Yeah.
compromise there.
So okay, I agree. So, but what do we do about the physical part? The actual physical victory. Are we going to mention that at all or not? So, where do we do? Where is there mention for that on Chanukah? What do we do to celebrate?
Maccabees won the war.
But what do we do to commemorate that?
Absolutely.
Like the candle.
Is the candles for the war or for the miracle of the oil?
Probably both.
How does the oil remind you of the war?
Is the candle for the miracle of the oil, or is the candle just for the holiday of Hanukkah?
What is the holiday of Hanukkah? What is the
candles, 8 days of
rededication?
or
At
rest?
the end Zot Hanukkah is when our deal is sealed with Hashem from Yom Kippur.
Yeah, that's what it says in
So there's
Sfarim.
lots of things going on.
Yeah, there is, but the physical part of winning the war, what do we do for that? So we're explaining here that eating on Hanukkah is the way we celebrate the physical aspect of winning the war, according to the Rambam. According to the Meiri or others, maybe we're not focusing on the physical part at all. We're just focusing on thanking and praising Hashem on Hanukkah. And in that sense, Chanukah is just a spiritual holiday.
I've definitely heard that opinion as contrast with Purim, that Purim is physical and Hanukkah is spiritual.
Yeah. One of the interesting hints to that is the difference between the Grager and the dreidel.
Right?
You ever heard this? That the dreidel, you spin it from the top. The Grager, from the bottom. So it says that Chanukah, because it's more of a spiritual holiday, that's why we spin it from the top. The Grager, the dreidel, the Grager is from the bottom because Purim is more.
There's another interesting. I always thought you were going to say that the Grager makes a noise you can literally feel.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel the spinning in your hand. You can feel the rattle of the drum, and you can, if it's a really loud Grager, you can feel the sound waves hitting your face. A dreidel, you watch it spin. It's just rays of light hitting your retina. There's no physical experience.
What's more physical, sight or sound?
Exactly. Sound is, in my opinion.
Sound is more what?
Low, strong sounds you can feel in your chest. You can feel it in your head.
But sound,
literally feel.
But sight is you're seeing something physical, no? When
you're seeing rays of
could you see sound?
Not really.
So I might say that sound is more spiritual. Oh,
Hey there.
no. You could say that sound is more spiritual because you don't see it.
But
in
I
a
say
way.
you feel it.
You can see the vibration if you put sand on a drum skin.
Yeah, but you have to make an effort. I mean, sight is inherently
a historical perspective that this is, I mean, first we mentioned Darius, which ties in directly to Purim.
Mm-hmm.
And the period, I mean, the first temple was 420 and the second 430, but the two holy temples, each one was more than 400 years, but the period in between was like 70 or 80 years.
Yeah,
I
something
know
like that.
and that's when Purim happened, or right around that time.
Yeah.
Because that was based on.
Babylonian exile was a year old when it happened.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's
Babylonian?
Persian.
Persian exile.
right. But that's what, right, because the
So there were-
no, but okay, let's get back to Hanukkah.
So actually,
So the Hanukkah happened in the period of the Second Temple because the temple was built, then it was defiled, then it was rededicated.
right.
Right.
But this event that he's described,
The
at the beginning
Haggai
here,
one.
the Haggai one, that happened at the
Oh, so
foundation
then,
of,
wait,
the,
so the,
of the
Of the second
temple.
one.
so
So,
Hanukkah was
second
how
temple.
far into the second temple? How many years?
like 350 or so,
Yes.
because how long did Hashmonaim reign?
I think it's at around 200 years.
200 years, so it'd be 200. You saw right in the middle of the 400 year Second Temple.
Okay, it's much later than I
Yes.
thought.
So just bringing out when we say Chanukah is dedication. So there's two opinions. What's that referring to? Either it's the rededication of the Beis Hamikdash after the Greeks defiled the Beis Hamikdash. That's usually the way we explain it. Some people say that it's referring to the story of Haggai when they laid the foundation for the second Beis Hamikdash. That's the Chanukah. That's really the inauguration, starting of the second Beis Hamikdash. The
Yeah,
only
it's interesting 'cause I've never heard
problem with that is that why did they wait till the times of Hanukkah to make it a holiday if it was because of laying the stone right at the beginning?
And not only that, but in all my years of Hebrew school, I've never heard this story before.
Yeah.
So they obviously don't emphasize it.
They don't.
From a secular point of view, I have heard, and this doesn't necessarily make anybody happy, but because the Hashmonaim were so controversial, in that they took the Malchus and the Kohanis and put them together, and they ruled at first well and then very poorly, and they invited the Romans in at the end of the Megillus Hanukkah, which ends up sowing the seeds for the destruction of Israel.
Rabbi Sachs
They were
speaks to-
very controversial, and therefore the miracle of Hanukkah was publicized. The miracle of the oil was publicized to draw attention away from the Hashmonaim.
Away from the victory of the war, more
Away
to
from
the oil.
Not so much the victory, but the Malchus,
The
and
Malchus.
Kahuna combined that happened afterwards, which is against
Yeah,
Torah.
they went the.
So, although there's a certain gratefulness for the liberation, what happened afterwards is they became corrupt.
Correct.
And so the miracle of the oil, which by the way they took a year to establish because I think of those concerns. This is a secular opinion, so you can take it as you will. But that miracle was publicized because of their concerns about the power that had become concentrated in the hands of the Hashmonaim. The dynasty, not the
Right.
the real
Give it
world.
up.
That's interesting. So that reason that you said is brought also for why in the Gemara and Mishnayos we find very little mention of the story of Hanukkah. There's a Masechta for Purim. There's no Masechta for Hanukkah. And
Which is why I was wondering when you said there was Masechta Purim Vech Hanukkah.
right.
I was,
It's
understanding.
there's no tractate in the Gemara for Hanukkah, and it's like kind of mentioned and like a by the way, like it's in Masechta Shabbos while it's talking about lighting the oil. For the Shabbos candles, mentioned something about Hanukkah, and it has a little part over there, but it's not emphasized. Some people say the reason for that is because they didn't want to give so much attention to the Hashmonaim.
In fact, it might be if the Hashmonaim, and this is my conjecture, but let's say the Hashmonaim enacted a celebration of their victory, and then their rabbis wanted to distract from that to make it a spiritual thing. They would have made Hanukkah in rivalry to the Hashmonaim's own, it's 4th of July, as it were, Independence Day.
So the
That's
que-
conjecture on my part.
so the question is, who established the menorah? All dance. Let's treat and latkes to eat. And while we are candles are burning low, one for each night, shed a sweet light and remind us of days long ago. All right.
Glorious night.
Musical interlude.
Yep, that was
That's right.
we're getting in the spirit. Reuben is bringing us in the spirit. So,
I got my menorah ready to go.
wonderful.
Things are controversial, we break into song.
I got my grill out ready to play.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
It's controversial, let's sing.
so here we're gonna look at three holidays and look at them, like compare them. So we have Chanukah, Purim, and Pesach. I'm picking these three. Those three are holidays that we celebrate how we were saved from our enemy, or victorious over our enemies. Yeah, Chanukah we're saved, we won over the Greeks. Purim, we were saved from the decree of Haman, and by Pesach, we were saved from the Egyptians.
They tried to kill us, they didn't, let's eat.
Exactly. So those are
They
three,
tried to kill us, they didn't, let's drink.
which is not so by Shavuos and Sukkot. Those are not salvation holidays. Those are for the giving of the Torah. So now, when they establish the day of the holiday? On the day that we won or the day that we rested?
Shabbos is on the day of rest. That's
Shabbos is a day of rest. But let's think about Purim.
Pesach is on the night of
Makas Bechoros.
Bechoros.
So this is interesting
That's
because
the day of war.
that's the day of war. Now, Purim, we know it says clearly in the Megillah, it
14th
says,
to 15th are
says
the
they
days we fought.
rested. It says clearly
I'm
in
putting my money on rest.
it says clearly in the Megillah that they fought on the 13th and they
yeah.
v'noyach and they rested on the 14th. And those that were in Shushan, they fought on the 14th and they rested on the 15th.
Okay, well that
So-
clouds the issue a little bit, doesn't it?
Exactly. So now let's try to think what's going on over here. So, like we said, Pesach, which is I guess our first holiday is when we left Egypt. The celebration is on the day of like beating the enemy, winning the enemy. Makas Bechoros, killing the firstborns, on the same day. Purim, we know, is not on the day of the victory. It's the day of the resting.
Halfway.
Now, Chanukah is a debate because we just mentioned two opinions. Is Chanukah the day they rested and they fought today on the 24th? Or the Rambam says that they won on the 25th. So then that would be like Pesach. So is Chanukah, is it like Purim or like Pesach? And what is the reason for this? Why would you make the holiday on the day itself or the day after? What would be the reason for it? And why would there be a difference between one holiday and another? Why is Pesach, why didn't the rabbis learn from Pesach? Pesach they celebrated on the day of Makas Bechoros, so why didn't they celebrate Purim on the day that they won? Or Chanukah? How do we understand this? What's the
Pesach
difference?
and, Pesach, the Hanukkah, the burning of the lights for 8 days is highly significant, but in terms of miracles, Esther saving the Jews could be a larger framework, I think.
The first day isn't a miracle. If the first day isn't a miracle and they were still fighting on the first day, then the celebration, the miracle begins on the second day.
But winning the war is a miracle, no?
We already went over that.
It's-
But if
it's-
there's a question about that, then definitely the second day is a miraculous day, by all opinions. It's either a continuation of a miracle, definitely resting on that day because there's a machlokus about the first day. And there's definitely a machlokus about the first day whether the oil burning is a miracle or not. So the really clear miracle day is day 2.
But for sure
don't
we
celebrate
we celebrate Hanukkah from the first day. That's saying there's no machlekes if there's 8 days of Hanukkah. Everyone agrees that there's 8 days. Now, from the Rambam, it sounds like the reason why we're celebrating the
First day
first
is Hanukkah's Hanukkah.
what?
First day is Hanukkah's Hanukkah.
What do you mean
It's
Hanukkah?
the inauguration of Hanukkah.
It's the beginning. Yeah, it's the Hanukkah of Hanukkah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But I just wanted to make this point that the Rambam says that the fact that they won the war on the 25th, that itself is a good enough reason to celebrate the first day of Hanukkah. They won the war. The Meiri says that they won on the 24th. So what does he say the reason why we celebrate the first day? He says
Shabbos?
the first day of Hanukkah.
Like Shabbos because it's a rest day. Because it's a rest day.
He says because they found the jug.
The jug, okay.
He doesn't say because they won the war, because they won the war the day before. he says it's because they found a jug. That's a celebration on the first day. A jug. So let's get back to our question. Why is there a difference between
the jug, okay?
Let's let him
So-
finish the sentence.
what's the difference between Pesach and, let's say, Purim or Chanukah? Why is Pesach on the same day of winning our enemy, and by Purim, and some people say by Chanukah, would be on the day of rest? So we'll go to, I think it's the third page over here, where it says Lakutei Torah. I'm sorry, this is not translated. So this is from the Alter Rebbe, Lakutei Torah, and he asks this question. He says, Lahavin, we need to understand, Mepnei Yom Tov de Pesach hu b'yom shenasa hanes. Why is the holiday of Pesach established on the day of the miracle? Masha'enkein b'Chanukah u'Purim shein b'yom hamenucha. He says that Chanukah and Purim are both established on the day of rest, so, following the victory. So whose opinion is he taking? He's taking the Meiri side, that the 24th is the day of war and 25th is Chanu, they rested. So he says we need an introduction to understand this. V'yuvan b'haktim inyan memale v'soiviv. We know there's two levels of Hashem, the way he interacts with the world. One is called memale, one is called soiviv. Male means full, like filling something. Soiviv is encompassing, surrounding. And what would that mean in relation to Hashem, the way Hashem runs the world? Memale pirush er v'chayis hanimshach v'madrega l'madrega. Memale is the level of Hashem's light, which goes from level to level. There's Olam HaNeshamas, the world of the Neshamas, Achar Kach Malachim, then you have the world of the angels, Ad Shenimshach Ba'olam Hazeh Gashmi, until it reaches this physical world, Geshem. Shari Noidash Olam Hazeh Mekabel Mi'ayin Sarim Vasarim Mekabel Mena Malachim Gavaya Mi'al Gavaya Sha'alav. We know there's many different levels, and the chain of worlds, there's different levels, and there's different energies that Hashem puts in each world for that world to handle. It's like, you have a light and a light bulb. You need to make sure that everything fits, that, everything should match up. So Memale is Hashem's energy that is suited for each world according to what it needs. That's the level of Memale. Then there is a level of Soiviv, the all-encompassing light. Soiviv is the level of Hashem where it's in all worlds equally. It doesn't minimize itself or make it limited to that specific world. It's just everywhere. We say Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is everywhere. So one level of that is Hashem is in each place according to that specific need of that place, where Hashem is kind of looking very closely at each thing. And then there's another level where Hashem is just everywhere, not like looking so specifically at each thing and what it needs. Go to the next paragraph. It says, these are two levels of influence that Hashem has to the world. There's one level that goes according to the order of things. So on one level, there are differences. On this all-encompassing level, everything is equal to Hashem. So on one level of Hashem looks at things and there are differences. There's a difference between a neshama and a malach, and spirituality and physicality. Then you have things which are against. There's klippos, things which get in the way. But on another level, the higher level, everything is equal. Like it says, Hashemayim v'sa'aretz ani mali. Heaven and earth, I'm here everywhere. Malay Hashemayim v'aretz b'shav mamish. Okay, so let's go back to our question. We started off, we have Chanukah and Purim. The holiday is on the day of rest. Pesach, it's on the day of when we won over Makas B'cheres, killing the Egyptian firstborn. So he's saying, think about the two ways Hashem runs the world. There's the way Hashem looks at the world in a specific way, how there are differences in the world, that's Mamali, and then another level where everything is equal. That's going to be the answer to our question. That's the difference between Chanukah, Purim, and Pesach. Now, what level was Pesach from? What level of Hashem did Hashem reveal to make the miracle of Pesach? What does the word Pesach mean? Pesach ksiv upasach Hashem ala Pesach. Hashem jumped over. What is jumping? Soviv. Because it's not going through the order and levels of things. It's jumping over all levels. It was Hiskalus Shaloya de Arab Chanas Diluk. Shaloya de Ishtalshalus. It was not through the chain of worlds. Like we say on Pesach in the Haggadah, Vavarti ani v'loi malach. It says, I myself will come and not through an angel. We know certain times Hashem does things through angels. But Pesach, it did not go through angels. Okay. Let's go to the last paragraph, and here he answers the question. This will answer our question. What is a Yom Tov? Kini ha-Yom Tov hu inyan hashras kedusha al-yoina. What is a Yom Tov? A Yom Tov is a time when there's an extra revelation of Hashem's kedusha, of Hashem's holiness in the world. V'i efshar li es giloi zeh v'ashra zeh ad sheyaviru mitchila achitzainim hamaynim. In order for Hashem's presence to come into this world in a revealed way, you have to first take away the bad guys. You first have to take away the things that are blocking and concealing Hashem's Kedusha, Hashem's holiness. Kamesha Kasav uviyar tahara. Hashem says you have to get rid of the bad, evil. So a Yom Tov, there's the...
I'm sorry, you have to get rid of, pardon me, you have to get rid of the bad, get rid of the evil.
In order to enable that Hashem's holiness should be revealed and come into this world, which that is a Yom Tov. A Yom Tov is a revelation of Hashem's Kedusha. But before that, we have to make sure that there shouldn't be things that are disturbing that revelation. That are blocking. So now, Purim, Lachin Gabi Purim, Mitchila Hareg B'Sineim. First, we had to kill the enemies. Ayin Hey Elef, it says 75,000. Shayu Amalekim, the people over there in times of Purim was from Amalek. She Klipa Atzuma, which is a very strong and powerful Klipa. Kidachsiv Reishas Goyim Amalek, Vachrisa Adi Ovid. Amalek has to be destroyed, eradicated. Ksiv Machai Timcha Vaseres Ben Haman. Va'achar Kach Asu Yemishta V'Simcha Mishlayach Manes. It says, how could you celebrate the Yom Tov when you still have enemies around? A Yom Tov is a revelation of Hashem. If you want Hashem to be revealed, how is He going to be revealed? And you have all these Amalekites around you. So that's why they first had to get rid of them. That's the 13th of Adar. The next day we could celebrate. Now Hashem's Kedusha could be revealed. And he gives a simple example. The last page over here. Laderech Mashal HaMelech. You have a king, he wants to have a new house, a beautiful home. When you want to have a nice house, you first have to clean it, right? You don't want to come into a dirty house, you want to clean the house. So he says that's why there has to be 2 days. One day is cleanup day. The next day you have the revelation. This is all the level of Mimali. When things work in an orderly fashion, this is the way things have to work. You can't have both at the same time. You can't have revelation of Hashem together with the enemy at this. You first have to one day get rid of the enemy, the next day revelation of Hashem. And this is what Alter Rebbe is saying is Chanukah and Purim. They were on the level of Hashem where He acted more in an orderly fashion. Abel Nes to Pesach we said is jumping. And Pesach was on a whole nother level. Pesach is a level where everything is equal. Hashem is not going into the differences. You can't ask any questions on the level of Seviv. Two opposite things could be there at the same time. Nagaf Mitzrayim Makas B'Chayres, there could be killing of the firstborn, V'skalas HaKedusha Yisrael, and revelation of Kedusha to the Jewish people, Ad She'amru Halal, until they're saying Halal on the same day. So that's the answer to the question. So there's the 2 ways the way Hashem runs the world. There's Mimali, where Hashem kind of runs things in a natural way, And both Chanukah and Purim, like we mentioned, you could see the nature part of it, right? In Chanukah, fighting a battle is a physical act. Purim, going through the means of Esther, that was also a natural means. So also in the way the Yom Tov was established was in an orderly fashion. First comes step number 1 is getting rid of the enemy. Step number 2 is revelation of Hashem. But on Pesach, because it was this level of Soiviv, where Hashem is jumping and everything is equal, you could have two opposite at the same time. You could get rid of the enemy and revelation of Hashem revealed himself at midnight at the same time. He says something interesting at the end. He says there are certain Sfarim that say that even on Pesach it wasn't all at the same time. One was before midnight, that was the Makas B'Cheres, and then at midnight was the revelation. But he disagrees. He says, Einai, this is not El HaKol Hoya B'Zman Echad. It was at the same time. It was killing.
Sorry, I thought the Makas B'Cheres happened exactly precisely
at midnight. Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's saying, I don't know which.
So it began precisely at midnight.
That's at the same time with Hashem's revelation. Ani Yotze, Hashem is coming out. So that's
The argument of before and after. That's where I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't even know where these other Sfarim are, but he says it happened exactly at the same time. So just putting this back into perspective over here. So we have Purim is for sure on the day that we're resting, the day of rest. Pesach was on the day itself that we won the enemy. But Chanukah, according to the Rambam, is very close to Pesach. Because according to the Rambam, we won the war on the 25th and we celebrate on the 25th. So it's actually similar to Pesach in a way.
It all happens on the same day, yeah.
It all happens on the same day. But what lesson could we take from this whole idea?
Which is, I'm sorry, I'm still hung up on the fact that in a walled city, you had resting and warfare on the same day also. In a walled city, those who were not in walled cities were celebrating, and the ones who were in walled cities were still fighting. So for the Jewish people, both were happening at the same time.
You're saying if you're talking about the Jewish people as a whole, the two things were happening at the same time. Yeah, that's true.
Now I'm letting it go, but I had to get that off my chest.
So let's just apply it a little bit to our service of Hashem. What do these two things represent? Like winning of the war and revelation of Hashem. We always say there's sur meira vasei tov, going away from evil and doing good. Now, which one is greater? What is the main thing? Is it to do good or to get rid of the evil? So one might say that getting rid of the evil is only a preparation for doing good. It's like we don't want to focus on the bad, we just got to get rid of that in order to do good. It's like people don't really enjoy cleaning up. If you don't have to clean up, you would rather not. You just clean up because you want to have a nice place. So that's
Yeah, anyway.
Well, not just that, Tshuva is not complete until you have resisted the temptation that got you in trouble in the first place again. So, yeah, after the evil, you have to do good.
Right.
To be complete.
Right, but the step of getting away from evil, you say, oh, that's not the main thing. It's just a preparation to get to the main part where we want to actually be doing good.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that.
Yeah,
So that would be what?
I said we can do good while there's still evil around.
Like within the person, within the same person, could you do good while the evil is still around?
That's
That's
a very sane
Yeah, I
evil.
think, yeah.
Evil in general, yes. None of us are perfect, so anytime we do good, we're still surrounded by evil.
We have a lot of mitzvahs.
yeah. So that's true. But the pasuk says, "Sur mira, go away from evil and do good."
Getting rid of evil is good.
Oh, so that's another way to look at it. So that's the.
Yeah.
So one way you could look at getting rid of evil, that it's only a step. It's only a preparation to get to the better step, which is actually doing good.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the way of, there's the day of winning the war. That's the preparation. Like today is the 24th. And then when do we celebrate Chanukah? That's the 25th. That's like saying that winning the war, getting rid of the evil, is only a preparation. That's one view. Another view is like what Reuven said, is that getting rid of evil is also good as doing good. Which means they're both equal in Hashem's eyes. Hashem wants us to do positive mitzvahs, and the loisa say is getting rid of the negative. So
Can't have one without the other.
you can't have one without the other, and you're doing a mitzvah either way, which means doing good and getting rid of evil, not doing bad, are both mitzvah. They're both good. So you could be celebrating both at the same time. So those two views could be the difference between the Yom Tovim or the two views of Chanukah, whether winning the war is on the same day of the celebration or the day before, which is only a preparation. You see what I'm saying? If it's the day before, it's saying that getting rid of evil is only like a step. If you say that it's on the same day of the celebration, we're saying that getting rid of evil and celebrating they're both good, so then they could both be on the same day, so you don't have to separate them. Either way, it should be a day of, we need our victory in Israel, and this is a powerful
There are
day.
going to be Hanukkah candles in Gaza this year.
Yeah.
That is something to give you a picture of. Look at that. There's the
Yeah.
Hanukkah candles.
Yeah.
And infuriate a lot of people.
Yeah, so we should have a victory in all senses. Get rid of all evil and have a very happy and good Chanukah. Yasher Koach.
I'm reminded though of the murderer who says, "Today I will only steal." You familiar with that, Marshall?
What's the?
The murderer says, "Today I will only steal." He gets credit for a mitzvah.
Right.
So that's part of reinforcing that you can't have one, but they're part and parcel of the same thing. Stopping drinking and stopping being a miser and giving charity.
It's a process.
It's a process.
So what you said, is it a process or is it one and the same thing?
See,
That's the
right.
question. That's
Process
the
is the
discussion.
same thing.
Yeah.
There's a stepping stool that means that I'm climbing here to get to the next step. That means that the main thing is when I get to the next step. Or no, the step is, it's not just a step.
Depends on whether there's a bright dividing line or whether there is a transition. And if it's smooth transition, I'll drink less. I'll drink less. I will not murder today. There's some that's possibly of a gradual transition. That's a process where it's all one. You can't see exactly where it transitions one to the other, and then you have Pesach where precisely at midnight there's a switch over.
Even then, there's no precise midnight because
No, it's
the guy's
precisely
5
midnight.
feet. It's midnight for you, 5 feet away.
Exactly, but it's
midnight is
precisely
later.
midnight at every point where it happened.
Okay.
That's why he said about midnight, because he didn't want anyone to say.
Right. Right.
But for every person where it happened, it was precisely midnight there.
Another way to look at it is, it depends whose perspective. Really, from our perspective, you can't really have both exactly at the same time. Either you're focusing on getting rid of the evil,
Okay.
but from Hashem's perspective,
Right.
you could. And that's
Right.
why it says, Ani yotzei, only I could do this.
Yeah.
This midnight thing of killing the Egyptians and saving the Jews at the same time, that's something, that's why it couldn't be through a malach. That's this whole idea of soivev.
Passover, there's that song.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is
Yeah,
the all-encompassing level that,
But they do talk about the Malach HaMavis on Pesach, I don't know.
Pesach, it happens at midnight. There's a whole bunch of things in Jewish history that happens at midnight.
yeah.
Pesach.
Chetzi Alayla.
Yeah.
Mishpah.
All right,
Is
Yasher
the
Koach.
shul at Staren tomorrow going to just have mincha and then go for Marav at the top?
I think they're going to do
Oh.
Mincha and Ma'ariv and then go to Ta. No. I think both before. Yeah.
They'll light in shul, because they're lighting in shul, and then they'll light at tops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the lighting is only at 6, so they have time before.